Genesis chapter 43, second journey to Egypt. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten all the grain they brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go down again and buy us a little food." But Judah said to him, "The man has warned us on the solemn oath that we would not come into his presence without our brother. If you send our brother with us, we will go down and buy food for you. But if you do not send him, we will not go." For the man said, "You will not be admitted to my presence if your brother is not with you." Israel then said, "Why did you bring this misery on me by letting the man know you have another brother?" They replied, "The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kinsfolk, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you another brother?' And so we answered these questions. Could we have known that he would tell us to bring our brother?" Judah then said to Israel his father, "Send the boy with me. Let us go, so that we, you and our children, may live and not die. I will guarantee his safety. You can hold me responsible for him. If I do not bring him back and set him here before you, I will bear the blame forever. If we had not delayed for so long, we could have been there and back twice over." Israel their father said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some choice products of the land in your bags, and a gift for the man, some balsam, a little honey, spices, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you, and you will repay what was put back into your sacks. It may have been a mistake. Take your brother and go back to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy in his presence, so that he will allow you to bring back your brother and Benjamin. As for myself, if I am bereaved of my children, then bereaved I shall have to be." The men took the gift and the double amount of money as well, and taking Benjamin they set off and went down to Egypt, and were admitted to the presence of Joseph. When Joseph saw that Benjamin was with them, he said to his steward, "Bring these men to my house. Have an animal slaughtered and a meal prepared, for these men will eat with me at noon." The steward did as Joseph directed and brought the men to Joseph's house. They were afraid because they were taken to his house and said to each other, "It is because of the money that was placed in our sacks the last time that we were brought in. He wants to attack and overpower us and have us as slaves and take our donkeys." So they approached Joseph's steward and spoke to him at the door of the house. "By your leave, sir, we indeed came down here the first time to buy food, and when we reached a lodging place and opened our sacks, we found in the mouth of the sacks each one's money to the full weight. We had brought it back with us, as well as additional money to buy food. We do not know who put the money in our sacks." The steward said, "Be at peace. Do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father must have put a treasure in your grain sacks. Your money has reached me safely." He then brought Simeon out to them. The steward took them into Joseph's house, gave them water to wash their feet, and fodder for their donkeys. They prepared their present and waited for Joseph's arrival at midday, for they had heard they were to dine there. When Joseph came into the house, they offered him the gift they had with them and bowed to the ground in homage before him. He asked them how they were and said, "Is your father well? The old man you spoke about, is he still alive?" They answered, "Your servant our father is well and is still alive," and they bowed respectfully. Then he looked up and saw his brother Benjamin, the son of his own mother, and said, "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about?" And he added, "God be gracious to you, my son." So deeply moved was Joseph on seeing his brother that he wanted to cry, and went out quickly and wept in his own private room. After he had washed his face and came out controlling himself, he said, served the meal. He was served separately, and so were they, and the Egyptians as well, who usually dined with him, for the Egyptians cannot share a meal with Hebrews. For the Egyptians this would be a shame. They were seated opposite him in the order of their ages, from the eldest to the youngest, and they looked at each other in astonishment. Joseph had portions from his own dish taken to them, and Benjamin's portion was 5 times more than that of the others. So they drank freely and were merry with him. Genesis chapter 44, Joseph's silver cup. Now Joseph gave this order to his steward: fill the men's sack with as much food as they can carry, and put back each man's money in the mouth of his sack, and put my cup, the silver cup, with the money for the grain in the sack of the youngest. The steward did as Joseph had directed. As soon as it was light next morning, the men were sent away with their donkeys. When they had gone, but were still not far from the city, Joseph said to his steward, go quickly after those men, and when you have caught up with them, say this: why have you repaid good with evil? Why did you steal the silver cup? Is not this the cup my master drinks from, and indeed uses for divination? You have done a wicked thing. When he caught up with them, he repeated these words. They said to him, why does my Lord speak like that? Far be it from your servants to do such a thing. The money was found in the mouths of our sacks we brought back to you from the land of Canaan. How then could we have stolen silver or gold from your Lord's house? If one of your servants is found with the object, he will surely die, and we too will become my Lord's slaves. Very well then, he said, it will be as you say. The one who is found to have the cup will become my master's slave. The rest of you will go free. Then each one quickly lowered his sack to the ground and opened it, and he searched, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest. And the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and reloading their donkeys, they returned to the city. Joseph was still in the house when Judah and his brothers returned, and they threw themselves on the ground before him. Joseph said to them, what have you done? Did you not know that a man such as I is surely able to discover by divination what happened? Then Judah said, what shall we say to my Lord? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt. We are my Lord's slaves. We and the one who has been found with the cup. But Joseph said, far be it from me to do that. Only the man found to have the cup in his possession will be my slave. As for the rest, go back in peace to your father. Judah then went forward and said, my Lord, allow your servant to speak. Do not be angry with your servant, although you are equal to Pharaoh himself. The last time you questioned your servant, saying, have you a father or a brother? We said to my Lord, we have an aged father and a younger brother, the child of his old age. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. Then you said to us, bring him down so that I can see him for myself. We told my Lord that the boy could not leave his father, for if he did, his father would die. You then told your servants that if our youngest brother did not come with us, we would not be admitted to your presence again. All this we said to your servant our father on returning. So when he told us to come back and buy a little food, we said, we cannot go down unless our youngest brother is with us. We shall not be admitted to his presence unless our brother is with us. Then your servant my father said, you know that my wife had 2 children. One went away from me and has surely been torn to pieces, and I have not seen him any more. If you take this one also from me and something happens to him, you will bring my gray hair down to the underworld in sorrow. Now I cannot return to my father without the boy, for my father loves him very much. If he sees that the boy is not there, he will die, and your servants will have sent the grey hairs of your servant our father in sorrow to the underworld. Now I, your servant, guaranteed the boy's safety and said to my father, if I do not bring him back, I will bear the blame before my father all my life. So now let your servant take the place of the boy and stay here as slave, and let the boy go with his brothers, for I cannot return to my father without the boy. Do not let me see the misery that would be too much for my father. Genesis chapter 45. Joseph reveals himself. Now Joseph could no longer control his feelings in the presence of all those standing by, and he called out, leave my presence, everyone. And only his brothers were with him when Joseph made himself known to them. He wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard it, and the news spread through Pharaoh's house. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer because they were terrified at seeing him. Joseph said to them, come closer, and they drew nearer. And he said to them, I am Joseph your brother, the one you sold into Egypt. Now do not grieve and reproach yourselves for selling me, because God has sent me before you here to save your lives. It is 2 years since famine has been in the land, and there will be another 5 years without tilling and without harvest. God has sent me ahead of you to ensure for you a remnant on earth and save your lives by an extraordinary deliverance. So it was not you, but God who sent me here. He made me a father to Pharaoh, lord of his household, and ruler of all the land of Egypt. Go back quickly to my father and say to him, Joseph your son sends you this message. God has made me lord of all Egypt, so come down to me without delay. You shall live in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, you and your children and grandchildren, your flocks and your herds, all that you have. And there I will provide for you, for there will be 5 more years of famine, lest you and your household and all who belong to you be in need. Now you can see for yourselves, and your brother Benjamin too can see, that it is I myself who am speaking to you. You will tell my father of all the glory I have in Egypt, and of all that you have seen. Go quickly and bring my father down here. Joseph then threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and Benjamin wept as well. Then weeping he kissed and embraced his brothers, and only then were his brothers able to talk with him. The news spread through Pharaoh's house, Joseph's brothers are here, and the news pleased both Pharaoh and his officials. Pharaoh told Joseph, say to your brothers, you shall do this. Load your beast, return to the land of Canaan, and bring your father and your families and come to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will enjoy the fat of the land. And from your part give them this order. Take wagons from the land of Egypt, and for your little ones and for your wives. Get your father and come. Never mind the things you leave there, for the best is in all Egypt is yours. The sons of Israel did this. Joseph gave them wagons as Pharaoh had ordered, and provisions for the journey. To each one he gave a set of garments, but to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 sets of garments. To his father he sent 10 asses loaded with all the best goods in Egypt, and 10 she-donkeys loaded with grain, bread and provisions to last him through the journey. Then he sent his brothers away, and as they left he said, do not be perturbed on the way. They returned from Egypt and came back to Jacob their father in Canaan. They told him, Joseph is still alive, and he is governor of all of Egypt. Jacob was stunned, for he could not believe them. But they told him all that Joseph had said, and showed him the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him. Then Jacob's spirit revived, and he said, "It is enough, my son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Psalm chapter 21, Thanksgiving for Victory. In your strength the king rejoices, O Lord, and exults in your saving help. You have granted him his desire. You have not rejected the request of his lips. You have welcomed him with rich blessing. You have placed a golden crown upon his head. He asked you for life, and you gave it to him, length of days forever and ever. Great is his glory in your victory. Majesty and splendor you have bestowed on him. You gave him eternal blessings and gladdened him with your presence. The king trusts in the Lord, and through the love of the Most High he will not be shaken. Your hand will reach your enemies and lay hold of all your foes. You will make of them a blazing furnace when you appear. The Lord will strike them down in his wrath, and his fire will burn them up. You will wipe out their offspring from the earth and destroy their posterity. Though they plot evil against you and devise wicked schemes, they will not succeed. They will turn back in fear when you aim your arrows at them. Be exalted, O Lord, in your strength. We will sing and make music in praise of your might. Matthew chapter 14, verse 1 to 21. John the Baptist beheaded. At that time the news about Jesus reached Herod the Tetrarch, and he said to his servants, "This man is John the Baptist. John has risen from the dead, and that is why miraculous powers are at work in him." Herod had in fact ordered that John be arrested, bound in chains, and put in prison because of Herodias, the wife of his brother Philip. For John said to him, "It is not right for you to have her as wife." Herod wanted to kill him, but he did not dare because he feared the people who regarded John as a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced before the guests. She so delighted Herod that he promised under oath to give her anything she asked. The girl, prompted by her mother, said, "Give me the head of John the Baptist here on a dish." The king felt sad, but because he had made this promise under oath in the presence of the guest, he ordered it to be given her. So he had John beheaded in prison, and his head was brought on a dish and given to the girl. The girl then gave it to her mother. Then John's disciples came, took his body and buried it. Then they went and informed Jesus. First miracle of the loaves. On hearing this, Jesus set out secretly by boat for a secluded place. But the people heard of it, and they followed him on foot from their towns. When Jesus went ashore, he saw the large crowd of people gathered there and had compassion on them, and he healed their sick. Late in the afternoon, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a lonely place, and it is now late. You should send these people away so they can go to the villages and buy something for themselves to eat." But Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." They answered, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus said to them, "Bring them here to me." Then he made everyone sit down on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, raised his eyes to heaven, said a blessing, broke the loaves and handed them to the disciples to distribute to the people. And they all ate, and everyone had enough. Then the disciples gathered up the leftovers, filling 12 baskets. Those who ate were 5,000 men, not counting women and children.